Good morning. Thank you for coming along today to the launch of the Parkinson's Centre for Integrated Therapy. It's a bit snug, I appreciate your patience, and drinks and nibbles at the end will be well worth the wait. Firstly, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Mark Mardell, the new patron of the Parkinson Centre, Rosie Duffield, MP, the Lord Mayor of Canterbury, Anne Decker, and her consort. For those that don't know me, my name is Spencer Goddard, and I'm the CEO here at the MS Therapy Centre. We are proud to be welcoming the University of Kent to our facility, of which you will see more of later, to develop the first of its kind centre for people living with Parkinson's in the UK. Initial project planning took place in early 2022 for this amazing project, and I'm honoured to be standing here today at its launch. Before I hand to other guests who will talk about the project in more detail, I would like to give an overview of the MS Therapy Centre. We've been a charity for nearly 40 years and have had two homes. The first one was a small porta cabin with buckets collecting more water than money. However, for the last 8 years we've been situated here in our purpose-built building thanks to a truly outstanding fundraising campaign. Kent MS Therapy Centre offers a range of therapies for people living with MS in Kent that include oxygen therapy, hydrotherapy, physiotherapy and a wide range of other complementary therapies. An important aspect, and one that has allowed this partnership to come to fruition, is we've been supporting other neurological conditions throughout our 40-year journey. Today's launch is about the formalisation of support for Parkinson's and the similar struggles people have with this condition that are similar to our MS members. We look forward to building a strong relationship with everyone associated to this project, too many names to list, and creating a space for those living with Parkinson's locally, nationally and potentially internationally to receive much needed support. My wonderful team of staff and volunteers are on hand today to answer any questions people may have whilst at the centre. Thank you for now, and I would like to invite David Wilkinson to carry on with the proceedings. Thank you.
It's really wonderful. And really, when we reflect on the start point of the journey, I don't think any of us quite anticipated getting to the point today where we'd actually have a centre that we are opening. The start point was really quite narrow in its focus. We did a clinical trial at the university 4 or 5 years ago, trialling a new form of brain stimulation for Parkinson's. And the trial was really good. It was really successful. It was actually the first time that I'd really spent proper time with people who have Parkinson's. Before that, I was looking at other neurological conditions. The trial we did was of great success. It brought improvements in the quality of life to those who have Parkinson's. Got lots of national news headlines and so forth. But it wasn't really the headline. The real news story actually wasn't quite so positive. And the real news story that we took from spending time with people who have Parkinson's actually is that their needs within the community are not met as satisfactorily as they would like. So their access to drug therapy to help replace the dopamine that they lose in their brains was good. Good access to their neurologist, good access to their GP, particularly to the Parkinson's nurses. But Parkinson's is a multifaceted condition that requires a multifaceted treatment approach, and that means not just having drugs to manage aspects of the condition. It's about having access to what we call non-drug therapies as well, which seem to be just as important. So these non-drug therapies are things that you will know, things like physiotherapy to help with movement and mobility, group exercise and massage to likewise help with mobility, psychotherapy and counselling to help people manage their journeys, occupational therapy to help people make use of what skills and abilities they have to really achieve the most that they can with their lives, and speech and language therapy to help people with communication and swallowing difficulties. All these different non-drug therapies seem to be just as important for people who have Parkinson's. The problem that we found out is that they're really, really hard to reach. For some people, they can access them, but unfortunately it just takes a very long time with the waiting list. So the non-drug therapies are particularly important to help manage those aspects that the drug therapies can't. But they are so difficult to find. The waiting lists within the NHS are very, very long, and for some people actually They're completely out of reach. So this was the kind of news story really from the trial we did, and we scratched our heads and thought, well, we need to carry on developing this new intervention, this new treatment, but if we're really going to work with people who have Parkinson's, we need to address this much bigger, broader need, which is really about trying to find a way to put all these different therapies under one roof so people can come and access them and use them much more freely and much more easily. So that's what we tried to do here. We've brought them all under one roof, and of course, once you bring all these different therapies under one roof, you can start to integrate them. So you can start to produce individualised, personalised care plans for people. You can help them better with their self-management, and you can give them home-based programs to do as well. Everything just becomes a lot more easier to manage for those who have Parkinson's. And of course, once you have a clinical service, you can wrap research and education around that service. We do believe that any clinical service will be its best if it's supported by research. So to that end, we'll be developing new forms of intervention and new forms of assessment for Parkinson's here in the centre. Likewise, it's very important that we educate the next generation of healthcare practitioners and scientists in how to really look after Parkinson's, which is about giving them a clearer sense about the community that we have here and all the different non-drug therapies that need to be coupled with the really important drug therapies. So we'll have placement students come from Canterbury Christchurch to offer speech and language support. We'll have placement students from the University of Kent to come and offer massage services as well. So it will be a hub of educational and research activity as well as clinical activity. But beyond all that formal stuff, hopefully you can see downstairs there's just a fantastic social open space. And members need to make use of this, and really, ideally, we want a social community beyond all the stuff that we offer. Francis is here, one of our early supporters. I understand enjoys a drop of wine. Let's get him to come here and run a wine tasting session. I'm sure we can grab a few bottles of wine from the supermarket. Krish, who we're going to link up with shortly in the Himalayas, loves walking. Let's get a walking group to start from here. There's some fantastic walking trails around. Yeah, we want the members to come and own the centre and to really use it socially as well as for its more formal opportunities. So I'll be blunt, we've got 18 months worth to showcase this centre. At the moment, the budget that we have will see us through for 18 months. So during that time, we've got to demonstrate to the NHS commissioners and to other external funders and to donors, philanthropists, that this place is worth investing in to give it that long-term sustainability. Because once we get the blueprint right here, we can roll the blueprint out across the whole country. This is how you manage Parkinson's. And the truth is, it's probably not only Parkinson's, is it? Because the long-term care needs of people who have Parkinson's actually has significant overlap with other neurological conditions, not least multiple sclerosis, but dementia, brain injury. There are similarities. And I think in the fullness of time, although Parkinson's now is closest to our heart and it's what we'll focus on, in the fullness of time, perhaps we need to be having broader frontiers and thinking about a centre which offers the blueprint that we've developed here for Parkinson's to all forms of neurological condition. Because frankly, the more people you talk to, the more artificial that division becomes. So that's the ambition. Roll this out and broaden it. But we've got to get off the runway. And that's, I guess, why I returned to my first point, which was to thank you for all coming and to be grateful for you coming, because the information and the encouragement and the guidance and comment as I look around the room that so many of you have given us is going to be no less important now in getting us off the runway into the long-term future. So you must stay a part of this journey now, having joined it. We need all of you in one way or another to support us, to tell us what's good, to tell us what's not so good, and to make sure this is the asset which I know it can be. So thank you very much for coming. I feel very privileged that you all crammed yourself in here. So I will now hand over to, is it Mark or Rosie? I should know these things. I think it's Mark. So Mark is our patron, and for those of you who don't know him, he is former BBC political editor and correspondent, and brings with him a wealth of knowledge about how we can promote ourselves. And Mark also has Parkinson's, and so has a very unique insight on what the centre might offer. So Mark, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
No, I'm actually more than delighted. I'm excited. For the centre, the first of its kind in the world, is exactly what we Parkies need. I know it's barely got off the ground. I know it's embryonic, but I'm so pleased to be patron of something with such huge ambitions, such big ideas, and such lashings of hope. And you do know, of course, that hope thrives on hard cash. First of all, an apology. I've been a broadcaster all my working life, so I'm pretty used to speaking to the world, whether live or recorded, whether via a camera or a microphone. But today, I'm pretty nervous. Worried if I'll make it through to the end. It's my voice, you see. By nature, I'm both fatalistic and optimistic. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure when I was 30, which was only quite a long ago. And so I tend to think of every day as a bonus. I had a fantastically enjoyable career covering politics in Westminster, Europe and the US, then back again in the UK all the time. Like beauty queens of yesteryear, indulging my ambition to travel and meet people. Thanks to my lovely wife Jo, who's here somewhere. Hello Jo. I've been able to combine this with a wonderful family life. It's all been pretty good so far. At the time of the diagnosis, one of my favourite songs had the lyrics, "Blessings drop by my right hand, gratitude is a must." I couldn't agree more. I was determined to be cheerful about the whole thing, regarding it as an irritation and a nuisance, no more. That mood has largely survived, but Parky has since dealt a low blow to a big-mouth broadcaster with a love for writing. It's dropped a bomb on my ability to communicate. It's now very difficult to type. I can still touch type, but in painful slow motion. It takes me about 5 times as long to dictate something and then edit it. Dictate to a machine, not to a person, by the way. In the first draft of this, Parkinson's came out as Pocket Croc-Exons. So I'm not impressed with the software's inability to make out what I'm saying. It's not behaving any worse than some friends and family. In the cut and thrust of conversation, I frequently find myself ignored, literally unheard. Even to my own ears, I sound querulous and pathetic. I do feel diminished, my sense of self undermined. That's the downside, but as so often with Parkinson's, there is an upside. I listen more. I also drop my papers. That's one thing I hope this centre might encourage, getting the professionals to listen more to the real experts on Parkinson's, those who live with it day after day. Yeah. I'm also listening to a lot more because I've raised my voice, along with 5 others, including Jeremy Paxman, a High Court judge, and the writer of The Vicar of Dibley. We've just launched a new podcast of the condition called Movers and Shakers. And we're a pretty diverse bunch. 5 old white guys and a younger white woman, all pretty comfortably off. Diverse. Yeah, we're pretty conscious of our privilege and we're going to check it. No, the diversity is in the range of symptoms. There's me and my voice. Gillian can shake uncontrollably or they suddenly freeze up. The judge has horrible nightmares. Apparently once he ran naked into the streets because of them, which I don't think I'd like to have seen, but I'd like to have recorded. A couple of us has the classic hand tremor. Jeremy falls over quite a bit, but his worst symptom seems to be depression. Paul talks a lot about constipation and erectile dysfunction, but then he has a new career as a stand-up comedian. And his relentless cheerfulness acts as a counterbalance to Jeremy's deep gloom. But that diversity is typical of this pesky problem. It's not one thing, it isn't even 2 things. There's so many different things that some think it isn't even a thing at all. Even the language slows and shakes violently. Some say because the symptoms are so varied it can't be called a condition. Some people don't like the term Parkinson's disease. You can't catch it, by the way, if you sit next to somebody. For others, Parkinson's sufferers is out. Either they find it demeaning or maybe they actually enjoy it. I wouldn't go that far. It's just Parky. It's not an enemy or a friend, it's just me, a new me. What does it mean to me, day by day? I shuffle a lot, stagger a little, and do everything in very slow motion. My daily life has become an inelegant Tai Chi, the form called perhaps Graceless Frog Misses the Pond. Oh, and I drool a bit, never an attractive look. Book now to avoid sitting next to me at lunch. Sometimes I feel I'm trapped inside a hard shell from which I shout, "It's still me inside!" And then, has to be said, there's the fear, the gut-wrenching, stomach-dropping realisation of how bad it can get, probably will get. The punch to the solar plexus. When you hear about... Sorry, Max. Punch to the solar plexus when you hear about freezing for the first time, when Jeremy told me he could no longer read a book, or when you see an email about hallucinations, one involving a polar bear with a sword and wheelchairs. You ask yourself, how much tighter will this shell will bind? I'm being as frank as I can, but frankly, sometimes stuck in the sand is a pretty good place for your head to be with pocket crock essence. If it can be scary, the tremendous upside of doing the podcast is close contact with the people going through the same thing. That's often a comedy of recognition. Fun, funny, not even tragic comedy, just comedy. We live in an age where, thank goodness, the stiffest of stiff upper lips are beginning to quiver. We should talk openly about, without embarrassment, about something that isn't our fault. I was on a podcast the other day, BBC newscast, talking about both Trump and Parkinson's. And I'm not quite sure what the connection was, apart from my expertise in both. But on it with me was one of the presenters, Seema Kadech's dad, Suresh, who has Parkinson's as well. And he was talking about having to wear a nappy, and I just thought that was amazingly brave to come on BBC, not a broadcaster, an ordinary guy, to talk about wearing a nappy. It's important we do these things. The podcast feels a need and a hunger, even, for community, and so will, I hope, this centre. And something more, this centre can be a counterweight to careless care. We've had a flood of emails with a distressingly not golden thread, but a leaden thread. Not every case, but too many cases. People felt after their diagnosis ill-treated and discarded, even when diagnosed. There are many brilliant consultants, neurologists. Perhaps that's part of the problem. They're brilliant at biochemistry, brilliant at the inner life of neurons, but too many are utterly hopeless at dealing with a human being in distress before them. We've heard stories of neurologists staring bored out the window as they deliver this devastating verdict on the future of somebody's life. One person being told not to share the news because it would only upset those it told. Another who asked, "What happens now?" was told, "You go away and get worse." Now, this isn't to be taken in any sense of criticism of an overworked, overstretched and grotesquely underfunded NHS. To misquote Charlton Heston, "Come for the NHS, and you have to prize it out of my warm and trembling hands." But there is a desperate need to treat the whole person with all their varied, diverse needs. Yes, drugs are important, life-changing and life-improving, but they're not the whole story. Thank you. My own personal page-turner as a professor. When I was diagnosed, I was aware exercise was pretty important, so I asked the consultant what to do. Her reply, "Oh, I don't know, ask the Parkinson's nurse." That's why we need this centre, to bring together all singing, all dancing, comprehensive treatment, counselling and physiotherapy, circuit training and occupational health. And I mean that all singing, all dancing. Quite literally, there will be singing here later on, I believe, and yes, there may well be dancing one day. A personal plan for every individual under our one roof. It's hugely ambitious to be a global leader, and why not? We need that sort of ambition. Pocket's crock essence, Parkinson's, is the disease that does respect the European Convention of Human Rights. It's not a death sentence, but it is a life sentence, currently without prospect of parole. We shouldn't be locked in solitary and isolation, and with your help we can turn it into an open prison where the screws aren't too tight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Our final speaker is Rosie Duffield, our Canterbury MP, who I'm delighted is going to say a few words. Thank you, Rosie.
How on earth do you follow that? I've been following people like Mark all of my political nerdy life, so that was an incredible pleasure to hear that, you know, he's just as funny and spot on as ever. But I think all the other speakers have touched on why this is such an important centre. I love it when me and my team visit here. As soon as you walk in the door, the atmosphere is just peace and calm and friendliness. And I think that's one of the most important things about this place. Spencer and the team work incredibly hard to just make it feel like a home from home. And I think, you know, if you're dealing with lifelong conditions, you don't know what's around the corner. You've got friends to talk to, and also those that are on the journey with you, that are looking after you and really care about what happens, have got friends to talk to, other experiences to share. And I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever, knowing Canterbury as well as I do, and the Lord Mayor will back me up on this 18 months money will run and run. We will raise the money in Canterbury. I know what all of you are like. I know how hard you'll work. I know the fantastic and very popular shop downstairs is always busy, and we will do it. We will carry on. And how proud am I to have this world first centre. Canterbury's a city of firsts, so many firsts, and here we are yet again breaking another barrier. And thank you so much to all of you who've made it possible, and so many people that have come today to support. So let's keep it going, let's keep raising the money, and thanks so much once again.
The next up is well, it could go horribly wrong. So it's a live link up with one of our earliest supporters from the Himalayas, a chap called Krish, who has young onset Parkinson's disease, and very boldly and somewhat questioningly he's decided to trek to Everest Base Camp to raise money for the centre. We're absolutely delighted about. So he's somewhere in the Himalayas. We're expecting to link up with him now via Teams. We've got James, our IT manager here, who's going to help facilitate. Mark, given his journalistic background, is going to do the interview with Chris to see how he's getting on. But Chris is a fantastic mascot and emblem for the centre, showing that perseverance and that ambition and that drive to live a full and rich life with his Parkinson's and to contribute to others as best he can. So I'm looking at James nervously. If we can get him on the screen and get him, then I'll ask Mark to. Oh, that sounds like
it.
Hello, Krish. Can you hear me? It's Mark.
Yes, I can.
How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good.
Now, the weather's lovely here in Canterbury. What's it like there?
Oh, it's very cold. Very, very cold out here. I'm in a place called Lobuche. So tomorrow I'll be trekking to the final destination EBC. And I also wanted to talk about my group, you know, the people who are supporting me. We are 15 of us, and about 5 Sherpas, guides, who've been amazing with their love and support and looking after us. And 15, we all are going to EBC, but 8 of them, they're going to go further to trek the Everest, the ultimate. So they'll spend another 25 days doing all the acclimatization and everything. So, and they've been such a big help to me. I mean, I wanted to introduce them. This is Anusha. She's been the person who introduced me to trekking, and she's with me. She's run a company called Bohemian Adventures, you know, who looks after disabled people to enter into outdoors, and we've got all our people who are going to Everest. And we've got a 17-year-old who's going to trek all the way to Everest. And yeah.
Hi there.
And the 17-year-old, he's going to all the way to Everest. Guys, we also have National Award winner from India, Parkinson Award winner, who's done 6-7. So this is the guy. So I'm in amazing company.
You're in great hands there.
And I'm learning a lot. So I hope I can, bring in all the funds that.
Can you hear me? I was going to ask Krish next about. I saw a video of him and he froze, not like that. He actually froze in a Parkinson's state. Krish, you've frozen. Can you hear me still? But it's amazing, this video that his friend sent me, because he's just trekking along, going quite slowly, and then he just can't walk anymore. It's on a narrow mountain pass. And then the camera just falls over and somebody says, "Be careful, mate." He obviously was.
I think it's his end.
Do you think it's his
I think so. We might even rejoin.
What's going on?
He's left the meeting, so if we give him a minute, he
We'll
might
give him one
rejoin it.
moment, see if he reconnects. And if he doesn't, then we'll call him. Well, actually, I think we did slightly better than expected. You've seen something of Krish in his trip to Everest Base Camp. So what I think now is planned, Spencer, is very carefully we'll head downstairs, and there's some refreshment downstairs, and we've arranged some entertainment for you as well by the Canterbury Skylarks, which is a fantastic choir comprised mainly of people who have Parkinson's. So very slowly and carefully, can I suggest we dress downstairs and just enjoy the space. There'll be tours, there's some massage down there for you, those of you who want it. There's information about the centre. Just take a bit of time, and then there'll be some singing shortly. So yeah, let's head downstairs. Thank you.